Now then, you lovely people. Had a couple of people banging on my door while we're all COVIDed up of what clobber and bits and pieces we need to set up to record at home. Right, let's get this show on the road, as they say. So, the main pieces of equipment that we require to do some of this recording stuff. Some microphones, or a microphone may do. Mixing device or an audio interface. Your computer might be able to do it itself. Recording device or some audio software. And a monitoring device, audio monitoring device. This is so we can hear what's actually going on and what we've produced with our wonderful recording. So, first off, what do we mean by audio specification? Well, I think really we need to take a step back and we need to know what is sound. So, if we have a look at the lovely little speaker that we've got in our diagram, what we can see is the speaker moves back and forwards. We know that. We connect it to an amplifier. And what's happening here is, what sound is just particles transferring energy from one place to another. And what we've got going on here is it's travelling through the air to our little all ear, our lovely little ear. When the speaker's moving out, we've got what's called a compression. And when the speaker moves back, we've got what's called a rarefaction. Well, this compression means that the wave goes up, and the rarefaction means that the wave goes down. When that's done that one all time, that means the speaker's gone forward and gone back. So what that does is the amount of energy that it's transferring, how hard that energy is being passed from one place to another, how much energy is being passed from one place to another. We look at this and we would call this its amplitude, how big this wave gets here. Now, how many times this happens in 1 second is another measurement, and it's how frequently these waves make one complete cycle. Wee like that, wee like that, wee like that. And if it does 4 in 1 second, that would be 4 hertz. So, little recap. Amplitude is the bit that goes from the peak to the bottom of the trough of the wave, and frequency is how many times they go by in 1 second. The other thing that we have is we have a thing that we identify sound with called timbre. Timbre is dead easy to explain. It's kind of a little bit of everything. Tool of ignorance. There's an A note if I sing la. Right. That's a guitar making a guitar noise. That's a la. Hogget making a hogget noise. Now, the thing that's determining the timbre is the initial wave, all the other little bits of all what we call harmonics going on under the wave and things. So, but we're not really interested today in timbre. We'll look at that another day. Let's have a look at this amplitude thing. So, with this amplitude thing, super quiet is 0 dB. And if we go to kind of to a whisper, about 40, up to 80 would be around 80 to 85 dB. Is we can listen to that for 8 hours a day without damaging our ears. So that's really important as an audio engineer or a muso, because we don't want to be going a bit deaf. Right. The other thing that's important, from 0 to 80 gives us 80 decibels of dynamic range. Now, if we go from, say, 20 decibels to 90 decibels, this 20 decibels could be full of room noise or background noise. So, but if we're going from, and that background noise would be measured in, this would we call our noise floor, and the noise floor moves depending on how big the background noise is. So what we would have then is from 20 to 90 dB would give us 70 dB of dynamic range. The key things with these that we've got to think of is it's measuring the dynamic range, how loud and how quiet something is, measured using a thing called a decibel. Frequency. Frequency is measured in hertz, we know this, so it's how many complete cycles are made in a second. As far as we go, generally we're told we can hear from 20 to 20,000 hertz or 20 kilohertz. That most average little kids and that can hear up to that high. As we start to get a bit older and we start battering our ears with loud music and things, that kind of all disappears off. And we can see we've got the ranges of a young kid, 20 to 24k. We've got here, and we've got a hearing range of a middle-aged man of 20 hertz to 16k, and hearing range of old man. Don't want to put an age on an old man with you. We can see them, their grey hairs, with them grey hairs. Anyway, the other important thing with this is, as well as frequency, we can relate this to what we call pitch. Well, this middle C here is a note on a piano or whatever instrument. It's about 260 hertz, I think. Just so you can get some idea of a pitch also has a frequency. Right, let's get cracked on with these 4 bits of equipment. First off, mics, what the for? Capture audio sources. There's a lovely little picture of a recording studio and somebody doing a bit. We can see is a bass amp, DI box on the floor. We'll cover them in another session, I guess. A couple of microphones on the bass amp, a couple of microphones on the guitar amp, loads of microphones on the drum kit, and a microphone in front of the drum kit and in front of all the clobber, because we might like the sound of the room and we might want to add that on. That's something that we'll have a look at a little bit later on. So let's have a look at these microphones in a little bit more detail. First off, we have 2 different types of microphone. We have what's commonly called a dynamic microphone. Now, these microphones work by a diaphragm being attached to a coil of wire, and the coil of wire is surrounded by a magnet. Now, any change in the magnetic environment of a coil of wire will cause a voltage or an EMF to be introduced in the coil, and that's where we'll get our little signal coming out. So a couple of things that are important in the design of a dynamic microphone is everything that we do with the microphone can change how it picks up the sound, how it can pick up the different frequencies, how it can pick up the amount of dynamic range. So the next thing we want to look at is look at one of these, a lovely little picture of one of these there microphones. This is called the Shure SM58, and the next thing we need to understand is one of these graphs here. This is the Shure SM58, and this is its frequency spectrum. What we've got going on here is from 20 hertz to 20k, because that's what we can hear, so that's what we want to measure. We can see we've got a roll off from about 100 hertz. There's 100 there, there's the 100 there, and the roll off here. And then we've got a big boost here. It's to make our voice a little bit brighter because it's a vocal microphone. A little dip here, and then there's a roll off at the top. This little boost here is to pull out what we call our articulators, so we can hear what we're saying, so we're not turning into a blubbering mess. Next microphone that we've got is called a condenser microphone or capacitor microphone if you are in America. They have a few different things. Capacitor, condenser, same as, I don't know, aluminium, aluminum, tomato. Well, we're in good old Blight here, so we call these a capacitor microphone. So how these work is a voltage is required. Oh, look, a voltage. So this one, even before we get anywhere, you can see we need power for this microphone. The dynamic microphone works off its own steam. It doesn't work off its own steam. It works off electromagnetism. So we can see that we've got a lovely little battery here, and then we have these 2 plates that make up the capacitor. One plate is the front plate. This picks up the sound wave, and then there's a back plate. Now, the way a capacitor works is the voltage required across the capacitor for this to work. This voltage is supplied by either a battery, built into or added into the microphone like a C1000 or by an external phantom power supply. So we need to make sure that we have, if we're going to buy a capacitor mic or a condenser mic, that we have phantom power on our mixing desk or whatever we're going to plug it into. Here's a lovely little mic. This is a Rode NT1A. The reason I picked this is because it's under 200 quid. And if you were dead serious about this, it's not a bad amount of cash to spend on a microphone. So what does its frequency response graph look like? It looks like this. So we can see straight away we're going from 20 Hz to 20k. So we've got the full frequency response. We've got a little lump down in the 100 to 200 Hz region. Little boost on the top end. But a good frequency range. Now, what are our options? We have a dynamic mic, 85 quid-ish. You get them second hand all at the hand, they last forever, they're great. Frequency response of 50 Hz to 15k. The polar pattern's what we call cardioid, I suppose. Oh god, that means I'll have to do another video or explain what the polar patterns do. Its sensitivity is for how much sound for the same input that the microphone puts out. We can see this is putting out 1.85 millivolts. We need to remember that when we come back to the mixing desk, because we can see that's a tiny little voltage. The dynamic range of most dynamic mics is around 140 dB. Compared to 160 quid of the pop shield for our NT1A. You generally get a little pop shield thing. I'm going to talk about them in a couple of ticks. So, and they have a microphone stand mount thing that goes with them. So, what's the frequency response of this fella? 20 Hz to 20k. That's full frequency response. It's a cardioid mic. But let's have a little look at this here. How cool is that? Sensitivity is 35 millivolts as compared to 1.8 millivolts. That's a big deal. That means you're getting more output for the same input, and this is because it has a battery and amplifier built in. But look at this, it can't handle as loud sound sources. 132 dB is really loud. That's like the inside of a bass drum, so we'd probably be alright unless you were some madhead heavy metal drummer. I've not really heard a lot of dynamic mics distorting. I've heard quite a lot of condenser mics, because I think they just kind of make some of these up, or it depends on another thing that we'd have to look at in another video down the line called a transient, and these will be two good mics to compare with. So the other bits that we need when we're talking about microphones is one of these things here is a pop shield. This stops your plosives. Stick your hand, that's better, isn't it, in front of your face and say, Peter Piper pecked a pick of pickled pepper. You can feel that breath on your hand straight away. This is when we're making a P or a B or a T sound. These are what we call plosives. Pop shield gets rid of them for us. And the other thing we need to get our hand in our pocket for is buy a decent microphone stand. We need a decent microphone stand, because if you buy a really good one, like a K&M stand or whatever, you can buy all the spare bits. So these little rubber feet, the little attachments at the bottom for the bolty screwy thing. We can buy a new bit for this. We can buy a new top bit of the stand, new bit of the stand here, all these separate. So don't forget, when you're budgeting for your microphone, don't forget about a pop shield, and also you need a mic stand. But the other really important thing with all this is save some budget for some decent cables. Right, good little introduction to microphones. Right, where does the sound go next? The sound now comes into our lovely, whatever we want to call it, mixing desk, mixing console, soundboard, other delightful delights that we want to call this. That big thing with loads of knobs on. Here's a picture of one of them big things with loads of knobs on. You remember when we had one mic that didn't have a great deal of output? That's what this control, again, controls for. It increases the amount of level that comes into the channel. These little buttons, Mackies are the other way around. Normally you have your EQ at the top. but Mackies have these what we call auxiliary sends. These green ones will send to performers, so they are what we call pre-fader. That means they send the signal to the performer, and if you pull the fader down, it doesn't alter the sound level on the performer. These here, these orange ones, are post-fader, so we can put an effect on here and we pull our main fader down and it'll turn the effect down as well. These blue and white buttons here, knobs, are high frequency shelving filter that we can boost or cut at a specific frequency, a low frequency shelving filter that we can boost or cut at a specific frequency, and then we have a mid frequency. We can pick which frequency that we want to boost or cut. This would be called a semi-parametric. The next thing that we have is the pan control. When it's coming in on one channel, we're able to put it somewhere in the stereo panorama, hence pan control. Next thing, we've got a solo button that works with the gain to make sure that we're working at 0 dB because we want to run at the most efficient level on the console. We've got a couple of buttons here that we can press in, 1 and 2, 3 and 4. When we press 1 and 2 in and turn the pan knob right round, that assigns it to this what we call subgroup. So what this is dead handy for is if you've got like 3 mics on percussion and you only want to put them out of one channel, that'll allow you to do that. So the pan control over to the left, and that'll send us to number 1. Over to the right, go to number 2, and then we've also got 3 and 4 that work the same way around. Then also we've got left and right, so we unpress these, press the left and right in, and we can hear whatever's coming out the left and right here. A load of other controls on here to do a variety of other things, and some level meters and things. Have a look around the back of the desk. We'll see these lovely little things. We've got some XLR plug, jack plug, phono plug. So that's what the plug looks like on an XLR. That's like one end of a mic cable plugs into there, or plug into this bit here of your desk. So that's your input section, and then we have the jack. We'll see on a normal jack to jack cable, like a guitar or a bass, whatever we need to plug into them. Then our phono, these are what comes out of a CD or whatever the like it may be. So there's all the bits that we would have on a mixing desk or your mixing board or soundboard. Right, the next thing that we need to do is, even if we're using a mixing desk, we would then need a thing called an audio interface to get this sound into your computer. So a very simple one will be something like this. This is an audio interface with 2 inputs. I've got the Focusrite 2i2 here. Used these for years. I work in a college as well, and these have been super reliable. They're great, dead easy to get on with. But right, this is where we need to look at our specs again. Look at its frequency response. 20 Hz to 20k, that's fine. 111 dB of dynamic range, that's tremendous. Look at that gain range. If we've got somebody who's dead quiet on a dynamic microphone, we're able to boost it by 56 dB. That's shed loads in technical speak. So that's, more than happy. However, one of the things with this is we've only got 2 inputs. We could have a microphone here and a guitar going there. If that'll do and does what you need, brilliant. A couple of other bells and whistles on here allow you to monitor the sound that's coming back out your computer, and also how loud your headphones will be. Right, so that's a simple 2 input. What if you've got a band? What we need now is we need an audio interface with loads of bits and pieces on. So what we could do here is have a kick drum, snare drum, 2 overheads, bass guitar, a rhythm guitar. We could have 2 rhythm guitars if you have 2 guitarists in your band. How tremendous would that be? And then we've got a vocal thing. We've got loads of other connectivity on here. We've got a thing here to connect keyboards. We've got these 2, what they call ADAT light pipe, that allows you to expand the inputs so we would have 16 inputs and 16 outputs. You've got 10 outputs, 2 for your monitors and 8 to go wherever. You could send loads of different headphone mixes if you so desire. 2 dedicated headphone outs there, and we can also see from here there 28 to 20k, 180, 111 dB and 56 dB of dynamic range. We can see all that's different here is we've got loads more inputs and outputs. So that ends our lovely little audio interface wander around. Right, where next? Recording device. So a lovely little recording device could be something as super simple as one of these little gizmos. Seen a few of these floating around. It's a Tascam, can't remember the model number, but what these basically have is you have a microphone or a couple of there's a couple of microphones on this on the front, so you don't even need to buy a mic, and you can record things and then overdub them. So what that means is you can record your vocal and your guitar first, and then put a backing vocal on and another backing vocal, and then get your mate to play bass. Or you can't do, because we're in COVID lockdown. You could do some harmony vocals, some more harmony vocals, and then you can put some maracas on, and how tremendous would that be? Or we could be going straight into some music software. Could be something like Ableton, Cubase or Reaper. It's worth noting at the moment for the next kind of 60 days, all them 3, Ableton, Cubase and Reaper, are all offering a 60-day free trial. So what I want to be looking for here is, with any recording device, we need to make sure that it's going to hit both our frequency range. We can see it from 20Hz to 20k, and it wants a dynamic range of generally around 100 dB, a bit more. And I've put the CD quality thing there is because a CD, its dynamic range is 96 dB. So if we get a recording device that we can record to 100 dB dynamic range, that would be tremendous. Right, the next thing that I want to look at is a thing called a DAW. Now, I've got a bit of a bee in my bonnet about this DAW thing. A DAW is 3 separate bits of kit, and the 3 separate bits of kit, I've always wanted to go through this just for a bit of a straightener, really. We can't have anything working if it doesn't have the 3 bits of kit. Audio interface, looked at one of them, a computer, your laptop will do for this, and some music software. They're the 3 bits of kit that won't work without else. The important thing here is with the spec of your DAW depends on the devices that you attach to it, mainly your audio interface. So you've got to make sure that you've got the best audio interface that you can afford. And really, we're looking for: do we want to stick to recording it? The 2 main standards, 44.1 and 48k sampling rates. 48k is used in media, 44.1 everywhere else. There are loads of specs and things that people will blather on about, but really, as I say, this is just to get you started. Right then, so last bit of clobber. We need to be able to hear stuff. So let's have a look at some of these studio monitoring devices. 2 things that we need here is we need monitor speakers and we need headphones. So let's have a look at these studio monitor things. We have what we call passive monitors. They're the Oratones on this side. I remember when these come out when Hector was a pup, when I first kicked off. They were used for seeing what it sounded like coming out of a little radio and things. 90 dB kind of dynamic range, frequency response 75 Hz to 15k. There's no bottom end there. That's going to barely reproduce the bottom end of an acoustic guitar properly. 350 quid. Remember, you've got to buy an amplifier as well with that. It's a lot of cash there for a monitor, but they're in a pretty box. And then we've got some active monitors. The Genelec 1032, 400 watts, enough sound pressure level, enough output, maximum level 124 dB to make you go suitably deaf. Frequency range, excellent, that 33 dB to 23k. reflected in the price, 3.5k for a pair. Right, they're both way out of our budget range. Let's have a look at coming at these little, where we'll be starting off for monitors. I've had some of these KRK rockets. I found them to be these fellas here, the Rocket 5s. They're the 4th generation ones. I had to fill the pot full of roll of Layborg because he put out too much bottom end, and the bottom end was just like, it was all right listening along to it, that's all lovely and nice, but the biggest hassle that you've got is because you're getting the bottom end for free, you're not putting any bottom end in your mix. So they're an option, not an option in my book now though. HS5s, these are all right, a little bit kind of bland, bit mid forward. They were supposed to take over the NS10s. I kind of grew up on the NS10s, and I have a feeling that we might be seeing some of these landing in Studio Hog Art for me 27D. Oh, by the way, if you haven't subscribed, down the bottom, subscribe now, because I'm going to do loads of these seeing as we're cabined up. Anyway, these seem great. They've got this dead fancy waveguide thing. I've only been able to find specs and info for the people. I've had a listen to them, I haven't had a proper listen to them, so it might be another one of them mad trialy things to see if I've wasted my money yet again. But the monitors, really, you want to be looking at that 28 to 20k. You're not going to get them in a small project studio or at home. So, last but not least, our headphones. We want to be looking at these. These are lovely. These are what we call closed back headphones. These are called DT100s. They're absolutely tremendous. I have loads and loads of pairs of them. Bear with me. They even do them in gothy black. So, what's cool with the DT100? Can you see that little screw there? You can buy a spare. See the little circly bit? You can buy a spare. You see these ear thingies? These all rot away. They're starting to rot away. Sweat. Let's see. There, look. They're all falling apart. That's sweaty musos with sweaty lugs. But you can buy spares of them, and you can get lovely nice foam ones. So if there's someone in the band really nice, they get me foam ones. So they're really cool. 94 dB the dynamic range, so enough to make you suitably deaf, and a frequency response of 30 Hz to 20k. We've also got these lovely little monitors, headphone open backy things. Oh, hang on, I forgot to mention that the closed back things work a little bit like ear defenders, so they cut out some of the sound around you, so it means that if you're in a room with a dead noisy drum, you can keep your headphone level down and hopefully not go as deaf as you would if you didn't. Open back, give you the feeling of not really wearing headphones, but you're going to know you've got headphones on because you've got a big thing stuck around your head. The thing with the open back headphones is that you can hear the environment around you. These are pretty cool, the DT990, 5 Hz to 35k, so 35k is okay if you are a cat or a dog. Actually, cats can hear higher up than dogs. Cats can go up to 60k. That's why they don't like sitting on top of your computer, because your computer puts out loads and loads of noise that we can't hear. Anyway, waffled on enough about headphones, but you could do with getting yourself some headphones. I rank headphones up quite top of the list if you're going to get serious about this, because it's something you can take anywhere and listen to loads of your own music when you're out walking the dog or doing your hour, COVID exercise at the moment. What now? What now? So, my final thoughts with this. It's even come on the screen to remind me, so I'm not very bright. What do you want to record? Do you just want to record demos of tunes that you're writing? If you're doing that, the majority of my stuff I can't show you at the moment because I'm using my camera, my phone to record, but I do all my demos on my phone. I've got a lovely little studio set up, but it's generally electric guitar, not plugged into anything, riffing about, or the acoustic on a good day. For all my demos, all my rough ideas, then I start to work on them in a little bit more detail. What's your budget? How much have you got to spend on all this recording gear? Could you do with a better acoustic guitar? Would that inspire you more? You've got to be realistic here. Is what's going to inspire you, what's going to make you want to play, write songs, create the more art. So another thing to think about is how many tracks do you need? Do you need an audio interface? Do you need a big all singing, all dancing thing? Or would an all-in-one device do for you? Everything you get your hand in your pocket, you say you get one of these SM58, it plugs into a mic cable exactly the same as any other microphone. Most audio interfaces are USB these days, so you've got to make sure that you've got decent USB connectivity on whatever it is that you're recording into. Don't spend a fortune on one bit of kit, so don't go out and spend 500 quid on a microphone if you've only got like a 30 quid horrible my mum's yellow pack audio interface. Right, then end of the sermon. Remember, click on the bit below so I can get 2 subscribers. That'd be tremendous. I would be absolutely over the moon. The next one I'm going to do is next video is why do we want to record? What's the recording going to be before? So I'll leave it there, and remember, work hard, be nice, and don't be a dick. Welcome to the music industry. Work hard, be nice, don't be a dick. Thank you, and good night.